Lock the door.
Footsteps closed in. A door flew open. She tumbled into the dark. Then a calm voice beside her said, "Lock the doors." That's when she realized the car wasn't empty and the man watching her wasn't a rescuer. So why did the lock snap shut anyway? The rain had turned Manhattan into a mirror. Every storefront window caught my reflection. Every puddle held my silhouette. And somewhere behind me, footsteps matched mine exactly. I adjusted my clutch against my hip, letting the sharp corner dig into my palm. The pain helped. It gave me something to focus on besides the pressure building behind my ribs. I'd been ignoring this feeling for months now. The blank texts. The missed calls from no number. The sense that someone was always watching, just out of sight. Tonight was supposed to be simple. Leave the hedge fund gala early. Walk 6 blocks to the subway. Disappear into the crowd like I always did. But the crowd had thinned. And the rain had emptied the sidewalks. And those footsteps wouldn't stop. My red dress clung to my skin, soaked through. My heels clicked against wet concrete like a tracking beacon. I didn't belong on this street anymore. Not at this hour. Not alone. I counted the steps. 14 to the corner. Then I could turn. Then I could run. Aurora. No, not Aurora. Lisa. The voice came from behind me. Close. Too close. My stomach dropped through the pavement. I didn't turn around. Maybe if I kept walking, he'd lose interest. Maybe reality would bend just once in my favor. Lisa way. Footsteps faster now. Determined. I walked faster too. 12 steps. 10. My pulse hammered so loud I could hear it over the rain. Then I saw it. A black limousine idling at the curb. Sleek. Dark. Rear door cracked open like an invitation. I didn't think. I ran. My fingers found the handle. I yanked it open and threw myself inside, slamming the door behind me, just as that voice shouted my name from the sidewalk. Now let's take a pause. If you're enjoying this story, click the subscribe button, like this video, and comment where you're watching from. Your support helps us bring more wonderful stories, and trust me, you won't want to miss them. Now let's get back to the story. For 1 second, there was only silence. Rain on glass. My own ragged breathing. The leather seat cold beneath my thighs. Then a voice came from the shadows beside me. Calm. Low. Controlled. Lock the doors. The locks clicked shut. Only then did I turn and realize I wasn't alone. The man beside me sat perfectly still. Dark hair. Tailored black suit. Open at the collar. Tattoos tracing his hands and wrists like a map of something dangerous. He leaned slightly forward, watching me with the focus of someone who assessed threats for a living. Not angry. Not startled. Just alert. I'm sorry, I breathed. I thought someone was following me. I know, he said. His eyes flicked to the rear window. They stopped running when the door closed. My heart slammed harder. Who are you? He didn't smile. Didn't threaten. Just studied me like I was a problem he hadn't expected. Someone who doesn't like watching women get hunted. The car began to move. I didn't tell it to. Wait. I grabbed for the door handle. Stop the car. I need to get out. You can, he said calmly. But I wouldn't recommend it. His phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, then turned it toward me. One new message. No number. No sender. Just 5 words. You chose the wrong car. I stopped breathing. The man in the suit watched my face change. My name is Alaric Magnus, he said quietly. And I think we need to talk. The thing about being stalked is that you never believe it at first. You convince yourself the messages are accidents. Wrong numbers. Coincidences that mean nothing. I'd spent 3 months telling myself exactly that. But sitting in that limousine, soaking wet, staring at a message that proved someone had been watching my every move, I couldn't pretend anymore. And the man beside me? He wasn't pretending either. The townhouse didn't look like what I expected. No gates. No guards at the door. Just a brownstone on a quiet street in the Upper East Side, warm light glowing through tall windows. Alaric's driver pulled into a private garage beneath the building. The door closed behind us like a vault. I should have been terrified. Instead, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Quiet. The interior was elegant but lived in. Dark wood floors, bookshelves crammed with actual books, a kitchen that looked like someone used it. No marble columns or crystal chandeliers, just wealth that didn't need to announce itself. Alaric led me to a guest suite on the second floor without touching me once. He kept his distance like he understood exactly how fragile my nerves were. The room was simple. A bed with white linens, a bathroom with fresh towels, a phone charger already plugged into the wall, a glass of water on the nightstand. No locks on the door. No cameras that I could see. Just space. Just silence. He stood in the doorway, not crossing the threshold. "Take whatever time you need," he said. "I'll be downstairs when you're ready to talk." Then he left. No demands. No questions. No pressure. I stood there dripping onto the hardwood floor, trying to remember the last time a man had given me space without expecting something in return. I couldn't. My hands shook as I pulled out my phone. 3 missed calls from my best friend Mara. I called her back before I could talk myself out of it. She answered on the first ring. "Lisa? Where are you? I saw you leave the gala early, and then you just vanished." I pressed my palm against my chest, trying to slow my heartbeat. "I'm safe," I said. The words felt hollow, but I don't know what safe means anymore. I told her the short version. The footsteps. The limo. The message. She wanted to call the police. I told her I'd handle it. She didn't believe me. Neither did I. After I hung up, I stood in front of the bathroom mirror and looked at myself. Red dress ruined. Mascara smeared. Sharp bob clinging to my jaw in wet strands. I looked like a woman who'd been running for her life. Because I was. A soft knock pulled me back. I opened the door to find Alaric holding a dark jacket. Cashmere. Warm. "You're shivering," he said simply. I took it without argument. We ended up in his study. 2 leather chairs facing a window that overlooked the city. Rain still streaking the glass. He poured whiskey for himself but didn't offer me one. He waited until I asked. I didn't. "So," I said, pulling the jacket tighter around my shoulders. "Are you going to tell me who you really are?" He didn't flinch. "I'm a businessman. I solve problems for people who can afford solutions." "That's not an answer. It's the only one I have that won't scare you more than you already are." "Fair enough." I leaned back in the chair, studying him. He sat like a man who knew how to wait. Patient. Still. But alert. Like a predator resting between hunts. "I'm in New York for a negotiation," he said after a moment. "High stakes. Complicated parties. Some of them are watching me very closely. And you think my stalker is connected to that?" "No." He met my eyes. "I think your stalker is personal." Which is worse? I felt the words like a cold hand on my spine. Why worse? Because business enemies are predictable. They want leverage. Money. Power. He paused. Personal obsession doesn't negotiate. It escalates until it breaks something. I hated how calm he sounded. Hated how much sense he made. Hated that he was saying out loud what I'd been too afraid to admit. "I'm not a target," I said, my voice sharper than I intended. "I'm not some damsel who needs protecting." "I never said you were." "Then stop treating me like one." Alaric set down his glass. "I'm treating you like someone whose boundaries are being tested. That's different." He leaned forward slightly. "Here's what I can offer. A safe ride home tonight. A security detail outside your building for 48 hours. After that, if you want me gone, disappear." I shook my head before he finished. "No, I'm not owned. I don't need handlers." He didn't argue. Didn't push. Just nodded once, slowly. "You can reject protection," he said quietly. "You can't reject reality." The words hung in the air between us. An hour later, his driver dropped me at my building. The rain had stopped. The street was empty. I watched the car pull away until the taillights disappeared around the corner. Then I turned toward my building. Walked up the 3 flights of stairs. Pulled out my keys. And stopped. My apartment door was open. Just a crack. Just enough for light from the hallway to slice through. I hadn't left it that way. I never left it that way. My heart stopped. Then started again, hammering so loud I could hear it in my skull. I took 1 step back. Then another. My phone was already in my hand before I realized I wasn't calling the police. I was calling Alaric. Alaric's team arrived in 7 minutes. 2 men in dark coats. Professional. Quiet. They swept my apartment without a word. Clear. No one inside. Nothing taken. But something was wrong. I felt it the moment I stepped through the door. My coffee mug. The one I always left by the sink. It was on the counter now. Handle facing left instead of right. The photo frame on my bookshelf. My mother and me at my college graduation. It had been turned. Just slightly. Just enough. Anyone else would have missed it. But I knew my apartment like I knew my own heartbeat. Someone had been here. Someone had touched my things. Someone had wanted me to know. Alaric stood in my doorway, watching me pace. Nothing's missing, one of his men reported. Nothing's damaged. Alaric nodded. His eyes never left my face. That's the point, he said quietly. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on my couch with every light on, watching the door. At 4:17 a.m., my phone buzzed. No number. No sender. Just a message. I was here. You didn't notice. I threw the phone across the room. It didn't break. I wished it had. By morning, I looked like hell. Dark circles under my eyes. Hands that wouldn't stop trembling. But I showered. Did my makeup. Put on my sharpest blazer. And went to work anyway. Because that's what I did. That's who I was. Lisa Main didn't hide. Lisa Main didn't break. Lisa Main showed up. The hedge fund office was already buzzing when I arrived. Phones ringing. Keyboards clicking. The familiar chaos of money moving at impossible speeds. I sat at my desk and pretended everything was normal. Pretended I hadn't spent the night afraid to close my eyes. Pretended my skin didn't crawl every time someone walked behind me. By noon, I noticed the SUV. Black. Tinted windows. Parked across the street. It hadn't moved in 3 hours. I knew whose it was. I grabbed my coat and walked out. The coffee shop 2 blocks from my office was crowded. Alaric sat in the back corner, facing the door. Of course he did. He saw me coming before I was halfway across the room. I didn't bother with pleasantries. Call them off, I said, sliding into the chair across from him. He sipped his coffee. Good morning to you too. I'm serious. The SUV. The surveillance. Whatever else you've got watching me. Call it off. He set down his cup. You called me last night. Not the police. Me. That was a mistake. Was it? I hated how calm he was. Hated how he looked at me like he could see right through the armor I'd spent years building. I don't need guards, I said through gritted teeth. I've handled my own problems my entire life. I'm not questioning that. Then what are you doing? He leaned forward. Just slightly. Just enough that I could see the intensity behind those dark eyes. I'm not calling you weak, Lisa. I'm calling the world cruel. I opened my mouth to argue. Nothing came out. My protection isn't about control, he continued. It's about presence. Someone watching so you don't have to watch alone. I didn't ask for that. No. You didn't. He held my gaze. But you also didn't sleep last night. And you won't tonight either. Not until you know who's doing this. I looked away first. I hated that too. I'll figure it out myself, I said, standing up. Stay away from me. I walked out before he could respond. By the time I got back to my desk, there was an envelope waiting. Plain white. No return address. My name typed in neat black letters. I opened it with shaking hands. Inside was a photograph. Me. Last night. Diving into Alaric's limousine. My red dress was a blur of color against the black car. My face was turned toward the open door. Terrified. Desperate. On the back, someone had written 3 words in careful handwriting. I see everything. The room tilted. I grabbed the edge of my desk to steady myself. This wasn't random. This wasn't coincidence. Someone had been there. On that street. In the rain. Watching me run. They hadn't just followed me. They had documented it. I looked up, suddenly aware of how exposed I was. Open floor plan. Glass walls. Dozens of people walking past my desk every hour. Any of them could be watching. Any of them could be him. My eyes swept the room. Familiar faces. Colleagues I worked with for 2 years. People I trusted. Then I saw him. Evan. 3 desks away. The quiet analyst who always brought donuts on Fridays. He was looking at me. Not glancing. Looking. And when our eyes met, he smiled. Slow. Knowing. Like we shared a secret I didn't remember telling. My blood turned to ice. I looked away fast. Too fast. When I glanced back, he was gone. Just an empty chair. A half-finished coffee. And the feeling that I was no longer safe anywhere. Not even here. I called Alaric that night. I didn't want to. But I couldn't stop seeing Evan smile. Couldn't stop feeling watched. Couldn't stop jumping at every sound in my apartment. 1 week, I said when he answered. That's it. He didn't gloat. Didn't say I told you so. Just listened. 1 week, he agreed. Your terms. We met the next morning at his townhouse. He laid out the arrangement like a business proposal. Clear. Professional. No room for misunderstanding. You control your schedule, he said. The detail follows at whatever distance you set. You can send them away anytime. No questions asked. I crossed my arms. And my apartment? Off limits. They stay outside unless you invite them in. My phone? My emails? Untouched. I'm not interested in your private life. I studied his face, looking for the catch. The manipulation. The control disguised as care. I didn't find it. Why are you doing this? I asked. He paused. Something flickered in his eyes. Because I've seen what happens when no one intervenes. He didn't elaborate. I didn't push. The first few days were strange. I went to work. Attended meetings. Pretended everything was normal. But now there was a black SUV 3 blocks behind me. A man in a dark coat outside my building. A safety net I hadn't asked for but couldn't deny I needed. Evan kept his distance at the office. No more lingering looks. No more knowing smiles. But I felt him watching. Always watching. I started spending evenings at Alaric's townhouse. Not because I had to. Because my apartment felt like a trap now. Every shadow held a threat. Every silence felt like someone holding their breath. At his place, I could almost remember what peace felt like. We talked. Really talked. Not about the stalker. About everything else. I told him about my job. The pressure. The politics. The men who assumed I'd slept my way to my desk. I want to fund my own future, I said one night, curled in the leather chair by his window. Not be funded. Not be kept. Mine. He nodded slowly. That's why you fight so hard against needing anyone. I don't need anyone. I know. He said it without judgment. Without challenge. Just acknowledgement. I watched him that week. Really watched. He was careful in ways I hadn't expected. When he moved toward me too quickly, he caught himself. Stepped back. When he wanted to ask something personal, he paused. Gave me the choice to answer or not. Once, he reached out to touch my shoulder. Then stopped. Dropped his hand. Sorry, he said quietly. Old habits. What habits? He was silent for a long moment. I grew up around men who confused control with love, he finally said. Who thought protecting someone meant owning them. He looked at me. I refused to be that. Something shifted in my chest. Something I wasn't ready to name. His reputation made more sense now. People feared him not because he was violent or reckless, but because he was untouchable. Unmoved. The kind of man who couldn't be bought, threatened, or broken. That kind of power terrified people. By day 5, the exhaustion caught up with me. I hadn't slept more than 3 hours a night since this started. My body was running on caffeine and stubbornness. We were sitting in his study when it finally hit. Mid-sentence, my voice cracked. My hands started shaking. Tears burned behind my eyes. I pressed my palms against my face, trying to hold it together. Trying to stay strong. Trying to be the woman who never broke. Alaric didn't move. Didn't reach for me. Didn't try to fix it. He just sat in the chair beside mine. Close enough that I could feel his presence. Far enough that I didn't feel trapped. You don't have to perform strength with me, he said softly. The words broke something open. I cried. Quietly. Messily. For everything I'd been carrying alone. He didn't leave. Didn't speak. Just stayed. When I finally looked up, my face swollen and raw, he handed me a glass of water. That was all. That was enough. Later that night, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Unknown sender. I opened it with numb fingers. The message was different this time. Not about me. About him. Your protector had dinner at Carmine's last Tuesday. Bourbon. He tipped 40%. Generous for a man with so much blood on his hands. My stomach dropped. I showed Alaric. His expression didn't change, but something behind his eyes went cold. This isn't random, he said slowly. What do you mean? He set down the phone. Whoever this is, they're not just watching you. They're watching me. Tracking my movements. My schedule. He looked at me. This isn't obsession from a stranger, Lisa. This is someone inside your world. I thought of Evan. His quiet smile. His desk 3 rows from mine. His access to my calendar. My client list. My life. I know who it is, I whispered. Alaric's jaw tightened. Then we end this. Together. I couldn't sleep that night. But this time it wasn't fear keeping me awake. It was curiosity. I sat in the guest suite with my laptop open. The blue light burned my eyes as I typed his name into the search bar. Alaric Magnus. The results came fast. Business articles praising his strategic genius. Philanthropy pieces about donations to women's shelters and education funds. Photos of him at galas, always alone, always watching the room like he expected a threat. Then came the other results. The ones buried deeper. Forum posts with whispered accusations. Competitors who went bankrupt after crossing him. A journalist who started investigating his business and suddenly moved to another country. Nothing proven. Nothing prosecuted. Just shadows and silence where answers should be. The word came up again and again in anonymous comments. Dangerous. I closed my laptop. But I couldn't close my mind. The next morning, I found him in the kitchen. He was making coffee. Sleeves rolled up. Tattoos visible on his forearms. He looked almost normal. Almost safe. I researched you last night, I said. He didn't turn around. I know. Of course he did. You didn't try to stop me. Why would I? He poured 2 cups. Handed me one. Our fingers didn't touch. Find anything interesting? He asked. I set the cup down. Are you dangerous? The question hung in the air. He didn't flinch. Didn't deflect. Just met my eyes with that steady, unreadable gaze. I'm capable, he said quietly. That scares people. I won't pretend otherwise. Capable of what? Of solving problems that other people can't. Or won't. That's not an answer. It's the honest one. I gripped the edge of the counter. I need to know who I'm trusting. If I'm making a mistake. He set down his cup. You're not trusting me. You're using me. There's a difference. Is there? Yes. He stepped closer. Not threatening. Just present. I've done things I'm not proud of. Made choices that cost people. But I've never hurt someone who didn't deserve it. Never touched someone who didn't consent. Never pretended to be something I'm not. His voice dropped. If you want me gone, disappear. No contact. No shadow protection. You walk out that door and I become a stranger again. I wanted to say yes. Wanted to reclaim my independence. Wanted to prove I didn't need anyone. My phone buzzed. We both looked at it. Unknown number. I opened the message with trembling hands. He can't save you from me. The words blurred. I read them again. And again. Lisa. Alaric's voice pulled me back. I showed him the screen. His jaw tightened. This changes things, he said. How? Because now he's not just watching you. He's challenging me. He took the phone from my hand. Set it face down on the counter. I need you to make a choice. Right now. Not out of fear. Not because you feel trapped. A real choice. I looked at him. At the man who had given me space when I needed it. Who had stayed when I cried. Who had never once made me feel weak for being afraid. I'm not choosing romance, I said. I know. I'm not choosing you because I need saving. I know that too. I took a breath. I'm choosing survival. With consent. On my terms. He nodded slowly. Then here's what I propose. You stay at the townhouse until we identify him. Confirm it's Evan. Build enough evidence to involve the authorities. And if I want to leave, you leave. No questions. And if I want you to back off, I back off. I studied his face, looking for the lie, the trap. I didn't find one. Okay, I said. Let's do this. We spent the rest of the morning planning. Security rotations. Evidence gathering. Legal options that didn't require Alaric's darker skills. By noon, I almost felt in control again. Then his phone rang. He glanced at the screen. His expression shifted. Something cold settled over his features. I need to take this, he said. He stepped into the hallway. I couldn't hear the words, but I could see his posture change. Tense. Alert. The predator waking up. When he came back, his eyes were harder. Problem? I asked. A complication. What kind? He hesitated. There's a man I've been negotiating with. Victor Ashford. He handles certain interests on the East Coast. We've been rivals for years. What does he want? Alaric met my gaze. He called to congratulate me on my new companion. Said she looked lovely in red. My blood ran cold. He knows about me. He knows you exist. That you've been staying here. That you matter enough for me to protect. What does that mean? Alaric's voice was flat. It means you're not just a target anymore. You're leverage. The walls felt like they were closing in. This is because of you. Because I chose to stay. Yes. He didn't sugarcoat it. Didn't make excuses. I can still walk away, he said. Pull my protection. Make it clear you're nothing to me. Would that work? His silence was answer enough. I was already too deep. Too visible. Too connected. Then we keep going, I said. Together. Alaric studied me for a long moment. Then nodded once. Together. But I saw the weight behind his eyes. The knowledge that protecting me had just painted a target on both of us. The guest suite stopped feeling temporary by day 3. My toothbrush in the bathroom. My laptop on the nightstand. My running shoes by the door. Small surrenders I try not to think about. I need to keep working, I told Alaric over breakfast. He didn't hesitate. Of course. I mean it. No pulling me out. No convincing me to hide. He set down his coffee. Lisa, I'm not trying to shrink your life. I'm trying to keep you alive long enough to live it. I believed him. That was the terrifying part. The gala invitation came 2 days later. Finance charity event. Rooftop venue. The kind of gathering where deals were made between champagne refills. I need to attend, Alaric said. And I need you there. Why? Victor Ashford will be watching. If you're seen with me, publicly, confidently, it changes his calculation. So I'm a prop. You're a statement. He paused. You can say no. I should have said no. Instead, I said, what should I wear? The venue glittered like something from a dream. Manhattan sprawled below us. Champagne towers caught the light. Men in $1,000 suits laughed too loud at jokes that weren't funny. I wore emerald green. Fitted. Elegant. Armor disguised as fashion. Alaric stayed close without crowding. His hand never found my waist. His eyes never stopped scanning the room. I realized quickly that this world operated on a different frequency. Every compliment had a price. Every smile had an agenda. A man complimented my dress while staring at my chest. A woman asked about my career while calculating my net worth. A partner at a rival firm offered mentorship that felt like ownership. I handled it. Smiled. Deflected. Survived. Then Victor Ashford appeared. He materialized like smoke. Silver temples. Cold blue eyes. Handshake that lasted 1 second too long. Miss Maine. The woman who tamed Alaric Magnus. No one's tamed anyone, I replied coolly. His smile didn't waver. A word of advice, woman to woman. You're not a woman. He laughed. Fair point. Then man to target. Alaric collects people. Uses them. Discards them when they're no longer useful. I held his gaze. Sounds like projection. Something flickered in his eyes. Surprise maybe. Or respect. If you ever need an exit strategy, he said quietly, call me. Before it's too late. He walked away. I turned to find Alaric watching. His jaw was granite, hands curled at his sides. But he hadn't moved, hadn't threatened, hadn't caused a scene. I wanted to kill him, he said simply. I noticed. I didn't. I noticed that too. Something passed between us. Understanding maybe. Or the beginning of something deeper. In the car home, I studied his profile. The permanent tension in his shoulders. The way his eyes checked every mirror. The exhaustion hidden beneath the control. Do you ever relax? I asked. I don't remember how. That's sad. That's survival. I understood him then. Really understood. We were the same. Both trapped by threats we hadn't chosen. Both performing strength we didn't always feel. Both alone in rooms full of people. At the townhouse, I kicked off my heels and poured wine. Then my phone buzzed. I almost ignored it. I should have. Unknown number. 4 words. Hello, little buttercup. The room tilted. The glass slipped from my fingers. Wine spread across the floor like blood. Buttercup. My mother's name for me. The name she whispered when I had nightmares. The name engraved on the locket I lost when she died. The name no one living should know. Lisa. Alaric's voice came from far away. Lisa, look at me. I couldn't. I was 15 again. Watching my mother's coffin lower into the ground. Clutching a locket I'd lose 3 days later. Burying a name I'd never speak again. He knows, I whispered. He knows things no one should know. Alaric took the phone. Read the message. His face went carefully blank. How? I demanded. How does he know about her? About that name? I never told anyone. Never. Someone knows. Old records. Journals. Something. That's not good enough. My voice cracked. The tears came. I couldn't stop them. I'm so tired, Alaric. So tired of being hunted. Of being watched. Of feeling like I'm going crazy. I sank onto the couch. Buried my face in my hands. Waited for him to fix it. To take over. To claim control the way powerful men always did. He sat beside me instead. Not touching. Just present. Do you want me to hold this with you? He asked softly. Not hold you. Not fix it. Hold this. Share the weight. I nodded. He stayed. Silent. Solid. Close enough to feel. Far enough to breathe. And slowly, the shaking stopped. The next morning, his security team requested a meeting. Their faces were grim. We swept her office last night, the lead agent said. Standard protocol. And Alaric asked. We found a camera. Concealed in the ceiling tile directly above her desk. My stomach dropped. Active. Very. Recording for approximately 4 months. 4 months. Every email. Every phone call. Every private moment I thought I had. Watched. Documented. Owned. Can you trace it? I asked. Already done. The agent hesitated. The installation required after-hours access and security override. According to building records, only one person logged those credentials during the installation window. I knew the answer before he said it. Evan Mercer. 3rd floor analyst. Evan. The quiet one. The helpful one. The one who smiled like he knew my secrets. Because he did. He'd been collecting them for months. Alaric's voice was ice. Find everything. Now. The evidence came together like a nightmare assembling itself. Security logs showed Evan accessing the building after hours 17 times in 4 months. Always between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. Always alone. His badge opened doors he had no reason to open. Server rooms. Executive floors. The maintenance corridor that led directly to my office. His schedule overlapped with mine perfectly. Same lunch breaks. Same late nights. Same coffee runs. I thought it was coincidence. It wasn't. He's been studying you, Alaric's security chief explained. Building a pattern. Learning your routines so he could anticipate your movements. I excused myself. Made it to the bathroom. Threw up until there was nothing left. Someone close. Someone I saw every day. Someone I smiled at. Thanked. Trusted. The betrayal wasn't just violation. It was erasure. Every memory of the office now had him in it. Watching. Waiting. Wanting. I returned to the meeting with a pale face and steady voice. What's the plan? Alaric looked at me carefully. We can handle this privately. Or we can involve law enforcement. Law enforcement. He nodded. I was hoping you'd say that. We built the trap together. Controlled. Legal. Airtight. A detective from the NYPD Special Victims Unit took my statement. She was calm. Professional. She'd seen this before. We'll set up surveillance on his movements, she said. When he escalates again, and we'll have documentation. What if he doesn't escalate? She met my eyes. They always do. The next day, I went to work like nothing had changed. Smiled at coworkers. Attended meetings. Pretended my skin wasn't crawling. Evan was at his desk. 3 rows away. Same as always. Quiet. Polite. Forgettable. He brought donuts. Chocolate glazed. My favorite. I took one. Thanked him. Wanted to scream. At lunch, he appeared beside my table in the break room. Mind if I sit? I forced a smile. Of course not. He sat across from me. Too close. Too familiar. You seem tired lately, he said. Everything okay? Just busy. You work too hard. Someone should take care of you. The words sounded innocent. They weren't. I take care of myself, I said. Something shifted in his eyes. Just for a second. A flash of something dark beneath the nice guy mask. That's what I love about you, Lisa. You're so strong. So independent. Love. He used the word love. Like he had the right. I finished my lunch quickly. Excused myself. Walked to the bathroom. Locked myself in a stall. Counted to 100 until my hands stopped shaking. That evening, Alaric's team intercepted an email. Evan had sent it to himself. A draft. Never meant to be seen. They showed it to me at the townhouse. Lisa doesn't understand yet, but she will. She thinks she wants independence, but what she really wants is someone who sees her. Really sees her. I've been patient. I've been watching. I've been waiting. When she's ready, I'll show her what real love looks like. And if she's never ready, I'll make sure no one else has her either. I read it 3 times. Each time felt worse. Obsession framed as romance, the detective said over the phone. Classic fixation pattern. He's built an entire fantasy around you. What happens when reality doesn't match? She paused. That's when they become dangerous. 2 days later, Evan cornered me in the parking garage. I was alone, 20 feet from my car. He stepped out from behind a pillar. Lisa. My heart stopped. Then hammered. Evan. You startled me. Sorry. He didn't sound sorry. He sounded hungry. I've been thinking about you, he said. About us. There is no us. Something flickered in his face. That darkness again. Closer to the surface now. Not yet. But there will be. He stepped closer. I stepped back. I've been patient, Lisa. So patient. But you keep ignoring what's right in front of you. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. His voice hardened. I've watched you. 4 months. I know everything about you. Your schedule. Your habits. Your fears. He smiled. Your childhood nickname. My blood turned to ice. Buttercup. Your mother called you that. Before she died. Before you lost the locket. How do you know that? I told you. I see you. Really see you. He reached toward my face. I jerked back. Don't touch me. His hand dropped. But his eyes stayed fixed on mine. I'm offering you something real, Lisa. Something no one else can give you. Don't throw it away. What happens if I say no? His smile vanished. Then I'll make sure your life becomes unlivable. If I can't have you, no one will. Not your protector. Not your friends. Not anyone. He said it calmly, like he was discussing the weather. Then he turned and walked away. I stood frozen for 10 seconds. 20. When I finally reached my car, Alaric was waiting inside. He'd heard everything. His security team had wired the garage. I'm going to kill him, he said quietly. Not angry. Not shouting. Worse. Certain. Alaric. He threatened you. In detail. On recording. We give it to the police. And they'll arrest him. Eventually. After paperwork. After hearings. After he has time to. No. I grabbed his arm. Felt the tension coiled beneath his skin. This is what he wants. For you to become the monster he thinks you are. Don't give him that. Alaric's jaw worked. His hands trembled. I watched him fight himself. The old instincts. The violence that had kept him alive. The easy solution he could execute in minutes. Then slowly he exhaled. We do it your way, he said. For now. The next morning, I arrived at work ready to face him. But Evan's desk was empty. His computer was gone. His personal items cleared. No resignation email. No goodbye. Just a void where he used to sit. I called Alaric immediately. He's gone. I know. We're tracking his credit cards. His phone. His car. And his silence lasted too long. Nothing. He vanished. I looked around the office. At the coworkers who didn't know. At the hidden camera hole still visible in the ceiling. At the empty chair 3 rows away. He was gone. But I knew he wasn't finished. The hunt wasn't over. It was just beginning. 3 days of silence. No messages. No sightings. No Evan. The police had warrants. His apartment was empty. His car abandoned at a parking garage in Queens. His phone disconnected. He'd become a ghost. And ghosts could be anywhere. I need to go back to my apartment, I said. Alaric looked up from his laptop. Why? Because it's mine. Because I can't hide forever. Because if I don't, he wins. He didn't argue. Didn't lecture. Just studied my face like he was memorizing it. I hate this, he said quietly. I know. But it's your choice. Yes, it is. He made calls. Security would be positioned outside. Police were notified of my location. Panic button installed on my phone. Every precaution. Every safety net. But we both knew the truth. If Evan wanted to find me, he would. The drive to my building felt like traveling backward in time. Same streets. Same storefronts. Same doorman who waved without really seeing me. Everything looked normal. Nothing was. I climbed the 3 flights alone. My choice. My terms. The hallway was quiet. Too quiet. The overhead light flickered once. Twice. I fumbled with my keys. Hands steady. Heart racing. The door opened. The apartment exhaled stale air. Empty. Untouched. I stepped inside. Closed the door. Locked it. Breathed. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. You came back. Good. The room tilted. I spun toward the window. The fire escape. The shadows in every corner. Nothing. No one. But he was watching. He was always watching. Another buzz. I missed you, Buttercup. My fingers shook as I typed a response. Leave me alone. His reply came instantly. Never. I backed toward the bedroom. Toward the bathroom. Toward the only room with a lock that might hold. Then I heard it. A key in the front door. Not my key. Someone else's. The lock clicked. The door opened. And Evan stepped inside. He looked different. Unshaven. Dark circles under his eyes. Clothes wrinkled like he'd been sleeping in them. But his smile was the same. Calm. Patient. Hungry. Lisa. He said my name like a prayer. How did you get a key? I made a copy months ago. When you left your purse in the break room. Months. He'd been planning this for months. The police are looking for you, I said. I know. They won't find me. He stepped closer. I stepped back. You shouldn't have run to him, Evan said. To Magnus. He can't give you what I can. And what's that? Everything. My whole life. My whole heart. His voice cracked. I've loved you since the first day you walked into that office. I've watched you. Studied you. Learned everything about you. No one knows you like I do. That's not love. That's obsession. His face hardened. It's devotion. And you threw it away for a criminal. He lunged. I ran. Made it to the bathroom. Slammed the door. Threw the lock. His fists hit the wood. Once. Twice. The frame shuddered. Lisa opened the door. We need to talk. Get away from me. I'm not going to hurt you. I just need you to understand. His voice shifted. Fleeting now. Desperate. I gave up everything for you. My job. My apartment. My life. All for you. And you're hiding from me. I pressed my back against the wall. Phone in my hand. Panic button activated. Help is coming, I said. I don't care. The pounding intensified. The lock groaned. If I can't have you, no one will. I told you that. I meant it. Sirens. Distant. Getting closer. Evan heard them too. The pounding stopped. Silence. Then his voice, soft through the door. This isn't over, Lisa. I'll find you again. I always do. Footsteps. The front door. Gone. I stayed frozen against the wall, counting my breaths, counting the seconds, until the bathroom door burst open and Alaric was there. Not with weapons. Not with violence. Just there. Behind him, police swept the apartment. Radios crackled. Orders shouted. Professional. Controlled. Alaric didn't chase Evan. Didn't demand blood. Didn't become the monster he'd been fighting. He just looked at me. Are you hurt? I shook my head. He extended his hand. I took it. My legs gave out the moment I stood. He caught me. Held me upright. Didn't squeeze. Didn't claim. Just supported. They found Evan 2 blocks away. Face down on the pavement. Hands behind his back. He was laughing when they cuffed him. I heard it through the window. High. Manic. Broken. A sound I'd never forget. The police took my statement. Again. More paperwork. More questions. More reliving every moment. When they finally left, I sat on my couch. Alaric sat beside me. Not touching. Just present. And I broke. Not the quiet tears from before. Real breaking. Ugly crying. Shaking. Gasping. Months of fear pouring out in waves I couldn't control. He didn't tell me to calm down. Didn't say it would be okay. Didn't make promises he couldn't keep. He just stayed. Let me shatter. Let me feel it all. When the sobs finally slowed, I looked at him. Really looked. At the man who could have killed Evan. Who had the power. The resources. The darkness. But chose legality instead. Chose my way. Chose restraint. Not because he was weak. Because he was strong enough to be better. You didn't hurt him, I whispered. No. You wanted to. More than anything. But you didn't. He met my eyes. I'm not that man anymore. Not with you. Something cracked open inside me. Something I'd been protecting since the night I dove into his limo. I didn't just trust him. I wanted him. Not his protection. Not his power. Him. The realization hit like lightning. Terrifying. Undeniable. Completely unexpected. I looked away before he could see it in my eyes. But I felt it. Deep in my chest. A warmth I hadn't felt in years. Maybe ever. This wasn't just survival anymore. This was something else entirely. The legal process moved slowly. Arraignment. Bail denied. Psychiatric evaluation ordered. Evan watched me from the defendant's table with empty eyes. No more smiles. No more hunger. Just hollowness where the obsession used to live. I gave my testimony. Clear. Steady. Complete. When I walked out of the courtroom, I didn't look back. The restraining order was permanent. His employment terminated. His access to my world erased. Piece by piece, the nightmare was dismantled. And piece by piece, I started breathing again. Returning to work felt strange at first. The hidden camera was gone. The ceiling tile replaced. But I still felt watched. Still flinched at footsteps. Still checked over my shoulder. Then slowly that faded too. Day by day. Week by week. The security detail shrank. 2 cars became 1. 1 car became check-ins. Check-ins became nothing at all. I walked to work alone for the first time on a Tuesday. Sunny. Warm. The kind of morning that felt like possibility. No one followed me. No one watched. Just the city, alive and indifferent, carrying on around me. I'd forgotten what that felt like. Normal. Free. Mine. I still stayed at the townhouse. Not because I had to. Because I wanted to. Alaric never pushed. Never assumed. Never crossed the invisible lines I'd drawn. But something had shifted between us. Late nights became longer. Conversations became deeper. Silence became comfortable instead of tense. I caught myself watching him. The way he moved. The way he listened. The way he held himself back, always, even when I could see how much he wanted to step closer. One evening, he found me on the balcony. Manhattan glittered below. A million lights. A million lives. None of them watching me. You could go home now, he said quietly. Your apartment is safe. The threat is contained. The case is moving forward. I nodded. I know. He stood beside me. Not touching. Just present. You don't owe me anything, Lisa. No debt. No obligation. You can walk away and never see me again. I turned to face him. Is that what you want? Something flickered in his eyes. Pain, maybe. Or hope. What I want doesn't matter. This was always your choice. And if I choose to stay? He went still. Then I'd ask why. I took a breath. This was the moment. The edge of something I couldn't take back. Because I'm tired of being alone, I said. Because independence doesn't mean isolation. Because somewhere between the fear and the chaos, I started wanting something I never expected. He didn't move. What's that? You. The word hung between us. Simple. Terrifying. True. Not your protection, I continued. Not your power. Not what you can do for me. Just you. The man who sat with me while I fell apart. Who chose restraint when revenge would have been easier. Who gave me space when everyone else tried to take it. His hand lifted. Hovered near my face. Waiting. Can I? He asked. I nodded. His fingers touched my cheek. Gentle. Careful. Like I was something precious he was afraid to break. I've wanted this since the night you dove into my car, he said quietly. But I couldn't. Not while you were afraid. Not while you needed protection more than partnership. And now you don't need me. He smiled. Faint. Real. Which means anything that happens next is choice. Not survival. I stepped closer. Then I'm choosing. The kiss was soft. Slow. Nothing like I expected from a man with his reputation. No claiming. No possession. Just connection. When we pulled apart, I kept my hand on his chest. Felt his heart beating. Fast. Alive. Human. I have conditions, I said. Tell me. I keep my job. My apartment. My independence. Of course. We move slowly. No rushing. No assumptions. Agreed. And if I ever need space, you give it. No questions. He nodded. Anything else? I thought about it. Yeah. Stop looking at me like you're waiting for me to disappear. Something softened in his face. I'll work on that. We stood there for a long time. Watching the city. Watching each other. Learning what it felt like to want something without fear. Weeks passed. Then months. The trial concluded. Evan was sentenced. Gone from my life forever. I moved back to my apartment eventually. But I kept a key to the townhouse. And he kept one to mine. We built something slowly. Carefully. Something that looked nothing like the fairy tales. Better. Real. One morning I walked through Times Square. Crowds everywhere. Noise. Chaos. The kind of place that used to make me panic. I stopped in the middle of the sidewalk. Closed my eyes. Listened to the city breathe. No footsteps matching mine. No phone buzzing with threats. No shadow waiting in the corner. Just me. Standing in the center of my own life. Unafraid. When I opened my eyes, the sun was bright. The future was uncertain. And for the first time in longer than I could remember, that felt okay. I pulled out my phone. Texted Alaric. Coffee later? His reply came instantly. Always. I smiled. Kept walking. For the first time, safety didn't feel like a cage. It felt like a future. And I was ready to live it. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a comment below for more stories from the Diaries of Love.